So news broke Wednesday that a bunch of celebrities and athletes like Tom Brady and Giselle, Steph Curry, Larry David, Naomi Osaka, and Shaq, among others, are involved in a class action lawsuit because of the downfall of FTX. So in case anyone out there is living under a rock, can you give us a SparkNote version of the FTX collapse that happened within the last week?
Yeah, I mean, it was spectacular in a horrible way. And, I think the greatest analogy for those of us who are old enough to remember it is the dot-com boom and bust. I think it was Super Bowl 2000 where almost half of the ads were dot-com companies, and who knows, probably half of them don't exist anymore. The highest profile one was Pets.com, which was the poster child. And Amazon was as well, and Amazon survived, but Pets.com was the poster child of dot-com companies. They had a Super Bowl ad. They all went bust. If you watched this year's Super Bowl 2022, you saw a bunch of FTX ads, including the one we were just talking about with Larry David, which was phenomenal. And there was, there are these things that hit the cultural zeitgeist, and having a Super Bowl commercial, and there were multiple crypto commercials in the Super Bowl. This was one of them. The FTX collapse, that was just obviously horrible business management and somebody being far too aggressive with other people's money than he should have been. And now these celebrities are swept up.
Yeah, and I want to talk about those ads. So Steph Curry said in the ad, quote, "I'm not an expert and I don't need to be." And that Larry David one we were talking about, he even predicted that FTX wasn't a, quote, "safe and easy way to get into crypto." So now, not a good look. How bad is that for their personal brands?
It's hard to say exactly what the fallout will be. I mean, celebrities advertising things has become far more common. It started over in Europe and in Asia where you would see Tom Cruise or Tom Hanks advertising watches or something. I was just in Italy, and there's a huge picture of Leonardo DiCaprio. I forgot in which piazza advertising a watch, I believe it. You don't see that too often in the U.S., but we have seen celebrities in television ads. Taylor Swift is in a T-Mobile one, and Samuel Jackson does Capital One. So it's becoming far more common. It's hard to say that any of these celebrities will suffer any personal brand blowback. I think the consumer is savvy enough to get it, and their loyalty to these stars or these athletes is far beyond any one endorsement. Honestly, journalists as well, we all got taken by this. We all look a little bit silly and didn't look under the curtain there to see exactly what was going on. I'm sure they feel the same way.
Yeah, and I saw this Twitter thread that it was right in our eyes the whole time, just between Sam Bankman-Fried's comments and stuff like that, that really you could tell that there was something, missing here, but people didn't see it till it was a little too late.
There was something, and our colleague Brandon Kutchkoden wrote a great story on it entitled "What We All Missed in FTX," and he said it on television, Sam Bankman-Fried, that he had cobbled together lines of credit to support the business. Now, anytime you're in an investing business and you're doing it with other people's money, borrowed money, your returns can be phenomenal, and they were for 3 or 4 years, but your downfall comes fast and hard. And, so these celebrities, and, FTX was tossing around a lot of money. I mean, celebrities get millions of dollars in endorsements annually, but they're usually from brands that are associated with them, whether it's a cosmetic brand that's associated with a female star, or for athletes, a shoe brand or something like that. This was out of the blue, 7-figure deals being tossed at athletes, and who wouldn't take them? Now, the sad thing is that some of these athletes actually took some of their salaries in crypto. For example, Odell Beckham did it, Russell Okung, who was a lineman in the NFL, and they signed these deals to take some of their salary in crypto. When crypto was at like some of them $69,000 or $40,000. Well, now it's $16,500. So again, it's that sort of, it was the same euphoria that existed in the dot-com era. Then it was the frictionless economy. Everyone in Hollywood was living in Hollywood at the time, and you would go out to lunch, and nobody was talking about the box office. They were talking about at what price they bought Amazon, because Amazon was supposed to go to $400, which was a shocking price at the time. I think the same thing was happening with crypto.
So what is happening to these deals? So a lot of these quote unquote brand ambassadors like Tom Brady and Giselle, Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank, Shaq, they either got paid for the deals or they got some sort of crypto or a share in the company. So what happens to that?
And for what we do, getting the exact details on those deals is incredibly difficult. But there is some insight that we can see from the biggest deal that FTX made, which was the naming rights deal at the arena in Florida. And the deal was something around $135 million. There was an upfront payment of $14 million that the county got because they own the arena. That's paid. There was another bill that was coming due in January of $5.5 million. They ain't getting that. And it was it was a 20-year deal, 19-year deal. So they were looking at getting at least whatever that is, $5 million per year. That's dried up. They said they'll sue. Good luck getting that money. It's the same thing for Tom Brady. Same thing for any of the Larry David. Anybody who basically was, let's say they paid Larry David $1 million to do that Super Bowl commercial, and he had to tweet 5 times a year and do whatever he had agreed to do to get paid another $500,000 a year or $1 million, however the numbers worked out. Well, he's not going to get that anymore. Not that Larry David needs it. I'm not even sure why he did it, though. He probably did it less for the money and more for the profile of putting on one of the most memorable commercials in the Super Bowl. People will remember that about Larry David. The few, let's call it a few, compared to the number of fans he has who lost, the few of his fans who actually invested in FTX and lost money, they may actually hold that against him. But how many of those people are there? I think people will still love Larry David.
Yeah, and the Larry David commercial, that's the only commercial I remember almost a year out from last year's Super Bowl. That's the only one I still remember. But do you think that these celebrities and athletes how much of the onus is on them for supporting something that eventually collapsed?
Yeah, man, that's a good theoretical question, and the lawsuit that was brought this week attempts to do that. Hey, I trusted you. You're a trusted person in my life, and I took that to invest. Well, that's kind of misguided. Like, you don't know this. Like, how much should you trust this person? And the person's an actor or a lineman or a forward or a center. That's what they know how to do. Trust them on how to shoot a basketball.
Maybe not financial advice.
Probably not.
On a commercial.
I don't know that lawsuit's going to be very successful.
So do you think the lawsuit is leggy?
I don't. I mean, you can't really fault a celebrity for endorsing a company and again the company it fooled everybody. Yeah. Should you sue the regulators who missed it? Should you sue the journalists who didn't get the story? It feels like a pretty baseless lawsuit.
Yeah, it seems like a bunch of finger pointing. Now, a week out, it's almost like the blame game has set in.
There's a lot of angry people.
Yeah.
And I understand it,
I mean, I could imagine, but in general, how much weight do celebrity endorsements hold?
Pretty significant. They get paid a lot of money. Again, 7-figure deals thrown at athletes, which is common with gear that they feel they can sell. I mean, there's, you watch any football, global football, not U.S. football, and you see, United Arab Emirates supports Arsenal. I think it's Arsenal. I can't remember.
It is, yeah, with
Arsenal,
the jerseys too.
Those are massive deals. Tens of millions of dollars a year. And that's because of the eyeballs and the loyalty and the fanaticism that those fans have for that team. It's pretty similar in Hollywood when it comes to an actor. I mean, Larry David fans are huge fans of Larry David. So anything he says, I buy this, you should too, people will do it. Howard Stern, perfect example. When Howard Stern would read the ads, if you ever listen to the Howard Stern show, there's certain ads that cost a fortune for brands to get that because they knew that he had that intimacy with his audience. So if he's endorsing it and he's speaking, it's the same thing in podcasts. A spoken ad by the podcast host is worth a lot more than just an ad that you run.